In today's video, I'm just gonna go through the 5 largest lessons that I've learned from generating over $100,000 from Upwork in the last 12 months. So lesson number 1 is just gonna be that understanding Upwork is an upward spiral and the barrier of entry is at the beginning, meaning it's supposed to be hard to sign your first few clients. Like it took me months to sign my first few clients, and when I did, the first 2 clients each only paid me $60. And it took me over 4 hours to do each of them. So obviously that's far from ideal. And so if you are struggling right now to sign your first client, don't worry, it's totally normal. But once you do sign the first client, it gets way easier to sign the second. And once you sign the second, it's easier to sign the third, and then easier to sign the fourth and fifth and sixth and so on, right? And so the reason for that is because you get more and more jobs that just show up on your profile. So even just having more jobs, even if you don't have reviews, that is still going to build a lot of trust with the clients. Because if you think about this from the client's point of view, if they click on your profile and you have $0 earned, then they're thinking, oh man, I have to be the first person to trust this guy, right? It's like a big ask for them, right? And so if you even have 2, or even 1 job completed, or 2 jobs, or even if they're not completed, even if they're just in progress, just having other jobs on your profile will help significantly, right? Because it means that client doesn't have to be the first person to take that leap of faith and trust you, right? And so for that reason, but also once you start completing these jobs and getting reviews, that's gonna help so much in signing clients. I signed my first 2 clients, like I said, they each paid $60, which was not ideal, right? But they left me 2 great reviews, 2 5-star reviews, and they wrote a paragraph about me and how I helped them with their Facebook ads issue and all this stuff. And having those 2 reviews was basically the reason that my third client booked the sales call with me, right? He directly referenced those 2 reviews on our sales call. And then that client paid me $1,600 per month. And so obviously that's a massive step up from the 2 first clients that only paid me $60. So this is what I'm talking about. Once you have the first few clients, you have those first reviews, you get kind of the ball rolling, it becomes exponentially easier to start signing high paying clients. $1,600 per month, that's a pretty good size client, right? I don't really know too many people who would say that's a small client, right? And so that's just my point. Number 1 is understanding that Upwork is an upward spiral, and it does take some time to get those first few clients. But once you do, it becomes so much easier to get the 3rd, 4th, 5th client and so on. And if you do have to do some extra work to get those first few clients, it's still worth it, right? It's without a shadow of a doubt worth it. For the 3rd client that I got, who is the one who paid me $1,600, in his proposal, in his job description, he referenced that he started an app, and then he referenced the app's name. And so I downloaded the app from the App Store, spent 15 minutes just playing around with it, checking out the different sections, checking out what it actually did, what the purpose was, checking out the community feature, just checking out the app overall. And then I literally wrote about my experience using his app in my proposal. And obviously once he read that, it's a no-brainer, right? If somebody actually took the time to download his app, go through it, play with the features, and then write a proposal based on their experience, that's going so much above and beyond anybody else who submitted a proposal to his job. And so just by seeing that, and then seeing that I had 2 good reviews on my profile, he booked that meeting with me. And then for that meeting, before I even got on that sales call with him, I took the time to create 5 posts. So this was for a social media management job. So I took the time to create 5 posts with the images, the video, and the descriptions of them for his company just for free, right? Just to demonstrate that I was going to be able to do this job better than anybody else, right? And so understanding that going above and beyond to get these first few jobs, it's okay. That's kind of the reality of it. If you have to go above and beyond, it's still completely worth it. So that's point number 1, is just understanding that Upwork is an upward spiral, and that it's going to take a little bit of time to get your first few jobs, but once you do, it gets exponentially easier. So lesson number 2 is going to be learning that Upwork is truly a game of social proof. And so it's all about having reviews, testimonials, case studies, client interviews, video testimonials, any form of social proof, even referencing your years of experience, if you have more than like 5 years of experience, the amount of projects you've completed, amount of clients you've worked for, any big clients you work for, right? Like Upwork truly is a game of social proof, because if you think about it, your whole goal throughout the entire process is to build up enough trust with the client so that they send you a message, right? Like that's the whole goal. And then obviously once they send you a message, you want to build up more trust to get on the call. And then on the call, you're building up trust so that you can close the deal, right? This whole process is all about building trust. And so a major way that we do that is just by including social proof, right? Like, so all of the methods that I just referenced are examples of social proof. And you want to have these in your proposals and your profiles, like everywhere you can think of, incorporate some form of social proof. It's going to help so much. And part of this also comes down to like learning how to phrase your accomplishments. So for example, if you have 10 clients, let's say, and you've completed 10 projects for each of these clients, saying that you just have 10 clients isn't really a form of social proof, right? It's not that big of a deal. It's not that impressive, really. But saying you've completed 100 plus projects, now that is impressive. And that is a form of social proof, because that will get clients to trust you so much more. And so I think lesson number 2 is really just understanding that social proof plays a major role in getting more clients on Upwork. And that has actually been something that I've been pretty good at, right? Like every single time we complete a project on Upwork, or just complete a project on Upwork, I'm asking that client for a review, like immediately. And then I'm following up with him multiple times if I truly believe that he's had a good experience working with me, right? And if he didn't, then that's another side note right there. But like making sure people do have a good experience with you, and then asking them for reviews, ask them for testimonials. And if you have a client you've been working with for, let's say, 4+ months, and you know that they're having an excellent experience with you, ask them to do a client interview with them. Ask them for a video testimonial. Ask them for, to create a case study out of them. And then, like I said, just being able to reference these case studies, these interviews, these testimonials, like whatever, throughout all different spots of your Upwork profile, of your proposals, like that's going to help a lot. And don't think that you can only ask one client for one form of social proof. Like I had a client leave me a positive review, leave me a testimonial, make a video testimonial for me. Like he did all 3 of those things. And so as a quick little tip here, the easiest way to get these forms of social proof from people is immediately after they have a big win. And so for example, if you make them a website and then they first check it out and they say, oh my God, this website is amazing. It's incredible. I love it so much. Like right there, you should ask them for a review or a testimonial or for whatever else, right? Like as soon as they have like a great experience, you want to immediately ask them for that form of social proof, because they're way more likely to give it to you. Right? Or even like another example is like social media management. Like when we were doing this for our clients, as soon as they hit their first like 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 followers, subscribers, whatever the metric was, like immediately we're notifying them and then saying like, hey, congratulations on this, this, and that. Hope you're having a good experience working with us so far. It seems like you are. And just based on the results we're achieving, seems like things are going well. Would you be willing to make us film like a quick 60-second video talking about your experience, and then giving them a few examples, right? And so like that's something, like I said, that I've actually been really good at doing, is just being relentless with asking every single person we work with for a form of social proof if I truly believe that they have had a good experience working with us. And then working those forms of social proof into all different spots of our Upwork profile and proposal templates, right? Like a really easy way for the proposal template is to add a PS section after your signature. So at the end, I would say, thanks, Nico. P.S. You might enjoy reading this testimonial from one of my happy clients, and then putting a testimonial, right? So like a little tip for you guys there, but that's a really, really easy way to build a lot of trust in your proposals. So that's number 2. Number 3 is just going to be understanding that it's okay and it's actually worth it to spend a lot of time on high leverage activities. And so what do I mean by that? Well, a high leverage activity is defined by getting a lot of output for a little input, right? And so I'll give you a few examples. Like, is it worth spending, let's say, 5+ hours perfecting the written introductions of each of your profiles? Yeah, I think it is, right? Like making sure every single detail is absolutely perfect. The words sound good. The paragraphs flow well. It's easy to read. It looks visually like not intimidating. It's, like I said, it's easy to read. There's lots of white space. It looks visually appealing, right? Making sure there's no grammatical errors, making sure that, not just the grammar side of it, but making sure that it actually sounds correct. Like it sounds like a native, speaker would write it, right? If English isn't your first language, like giving it to someone who English is their first language and letting them read it and be able to tell you if this sounds correct. Like doing all of that and spending 5+ hours perfecting those is worth it. Because if you think about it, if you think about like the input, which is spending 5+ hours, and the output you would get, meaning every single client who's ever on your profile is going to read these perfect written introductions, and they're going to be way more likely to send you a message, right? And so that means you're going to get way more messages, way more calls, and you're going to close way more deals. And so if you just do that once, you only have to spend the 5 hours one time perfecting the written introductions of your profile, and then they're going to sit there for the rest of time. For the rest of your life, for the rest of the time you're on Upwork, your written introductions will be absolutely perfect. And every single time a client views them and reads them, they're going to be way more likely to send you a message. So like that's a high leverage activity, right? Because the small input gets you a really large output. And so spending a lot of time on these high leverage activities, like making sure your written introductions are absolutely perfect, making sure you have an incredible portfolio section, messaging all of your clients and past clients to leave you reviews and testimonials like we referenced in the last in number 2, like those are high leverage tasks because those reviews in that portfolio and that written introductions, those are going to be on your profile for the rest of your life. And so I think number 3 is really just like understanding that you should be spending a lot of time with these and that it actually is worth it. It doesn't feel like it's worth it at first because, you spend 10 hours doing all of those tasks that I just mentioned, and you're not going to immediately see a huge result from it. Right? But knowing that it's just going to compound over time, and that even if you get like, let's just say a 20% bump in the amount of people who view your profile that send you a message, right? Meaning that 20% more people who view your profile actually send you a message, that's going to compound to so many more clients over the course of like 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 5 years. Like you will get hundreds of more clients just by doing that. And if you think about it, hundreds of more clients, is that worth 10 hours of your time? Yes, it definitely is, no matter who you are. And so that is number 3. Now, number 4 is going to be tracking your data and doing as much volume as you possibly can. So I think you guys should be tracking pretty much every step in the process from the time that you submit a proposal on Upwork to the time that a client has hired you on Upwork. So each step in this process would look like how many proposals did you submit? How many proposals got viewed? How many of those people sent you a message on Upwork? How many of those people booked a meeting with you? How many of those meetings turned into clients on Upwork? Those would be probably the 6 biggest things that I would track. I would also make sure you're tracking like how much money you're spending on connects. That would probably be the other big one. And then also how much is your average client paying you? So like customer LTV. And I don't want to get too technical in this video, but like understanding the lifetime value of each customer allows you to scale Upwork profitably. Right? Because if I know that, let's say I charge $500 a month and my average client stays with me for 4 months, then my customer LTV is $2,000, right? And if I know that, then I know that I can pay, $1,900 in theory to acquire each customer. Now, should you ever be paying $1,900 on Upwork to acquire a customer? No, that's outrageous. You'll never even have to do that. We pay between $100 and $200 to acquire each customer. And if you're curious about like how I'm doing that math and how I'm getting that number, I'm just taking the amount of connects that it took to get each client, right? And then obviously how much it costs to buy those connects, right? And so if I know, this is where, again, tracking your data, knowing your KPIs comes into play. If I know that every 100 proposals I submit, I get 20 people to message me, and that every 20 people who message me, I get 7 sales calls out of that. And if I know that I close at 35%, I'm going to close at, let's just call it 28% because it's easier math. If I close at 28%, then I'm going to sign 2 deals every 100 proposals that I submit on Upwork, right? So once I have those KPIs, then I know that my average cost to acquire a customer is going to be however many connects I spent on those 100 proposals, right? Or actually it's going to be 50, right? Because if I'm acquiring 2 customers every 100 proposals, it takes me 50 to get 1 customer, right? So just knowing that math is going to be really, really important, right? Because it's going to tell me exactly how much money I'm spending to acquire each customer. And then, like I said, knowing how much your customer LTV is, that is going to be able to give you the difference and just like understanding your numbers and your profitability for each customer. That's going to give you the numbers and that's going to give you the math to understand if you can scale profitably, right? So if you're spending $200 to acquire each customer, but your average customer pays you a total of $100, then I would probably stop immediately and fix your service, fix your pricing, fix something, right? Change something. Because if you scaled in that scenario, you would not be profitable and you would just lose a bunch of money, right? So that's number 4, is just tracking the data. Like if you just open up a simple spreadsheet and put those 6 variables that we mentioned earlier into your spreadsheet, and even the 7th one would be like how many connects were spent each day that you submitted proposals. That's going to help you a lot. And then at the end of each month, you can just go through and like run the numbers and see, okay, how many proposals did I submit? How many messages? How many booked calls? How many closed deals, etc. Excuse me, etc., etc. Right? And the other thing that like tracking your KPIs allows you to do is it allows you to identify where the problem is. So if you are getting no views on your proposals, that means the bottleneck and the issue is at the first 300 characters of your proposal, right? Because when you submit a proposal, the client can't actually see the whole thing. They just get that little preview up top, right? Which is the first 300 characters, your profile picture, your title, and your skill tags, and then your hourly rate and any badges you have and the amount of money you've earned in Upwork. That's the little preview that they get. And I'll put a screenshot like right here so you can just see that. But that being said, if you're not getting any views, that means there's an issue with some part of this little preview, right? And so like just understand, like tracking your KPIs will allow you to understand where the bottleneck is and where the issue is, so you can actually change it and run some tests and then figure it out, right? And then ultimately sign more clients, right? So that is number 4, is just like tracking your KPIs. It's not a flashy thing. It's not sexy, but like track your KPIs. It's going to allow you to make so much more money. So that's number 4. And the 5th lesson that I've learned from generating over $100,000 from Upwork in the last 12 months is pretty simple, but it's just providing a high quality service makes things way easier when you really try and scale, right? And this is for a number of reasons. But number 1, if you just compare these 2 scenarios where like scenario 1, you charge $500 per month and your average client stays with you for like 2 months, right? That's if you don't provide a very high quality service, and it's obviously on a recurring basis, then you're probably going to get 1, maybe 2 months if we're really generous, compared to the fact that if I provide a really high quality service, my clients are probably going to stay with me for 6+ months, right? So in that scenario, or in the first scenario, if they stay with me for 2 months, then my customer lifetime value is going to be $1,000, right? $500 per month times 2 months is $1,000. Versus scenario 2, $500 per month times 6 months, my customer LTV is going to be $3,000, right? So it makes it way easier to scale if you are in scenario 2, because you need less clients to scale, right? You're going to need, in this scenario, if your average client pays you whatever we just said, $3,000 compared to $1,000, like you need a third of as many clients to make the same amount of money, right? And so naturally, like it should be pretty self-explanatory. That's going to make it way easier to scale. Also, like in reality, like you should take a good look at yourself. Like, are you actually providing a high quality service to the absolute maximum? Because there's a great quote from Naval Ravikant, and I'll pop it up on the screen right here. I believe it says, you're doing sales because you suck at marketing. You're doing marketing because you suck at product, right? And so I love that quote because it's like, if we were all absolutely perfect at delivering our services, we wouldn't even need to apply to like any jobs on Upwork. Like in reality, or very, very few jobs, because we would do that one job for that one person. And if we did an absolute, like the best possible job that could ever possibly be done, then that one client would probably tell everybody in their network, right? They would probably say, like, if we asked them, hey, can you refer us business? They would be happy to, because they know we provide an absolute excellent service. So that's just a little quote that I really, really like, because if you do think about it, if we did provide the absolute perfect service, then word of mouth would kind of take care of itself, and we wouldn't even need to promote our services, right? We wouldn't even need to do any sales, any marketing, because product would speak for itself, or in our case, the service, right? And so I think ending on that note is a nice way to end this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did like this more raw, kind of unfiltered style content with very, very few edits, then make sure to leave a comment down below and let me know that you did like it, so I'll make more of it. And if you didn't like it, if you hated it, but somehow you stayed till the end of the video, then also make sure to leave a comment down below and tell me that you hated it, because I just want to make content that you guys like, and so let me know what you like. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.